You know, it's a funny thing. You can spend decades, literally decades, getting amazing at something, only to wake up one day and realize the thought of doing it for one more year is just draining. If you're an experienced professional, you might know exactly what I'm talking about. Today, we're going to talk about what to do when your expertise starts to feel less like a superpower and more like a cage, and how you can find a brand new, energizing path for your next chapter.
All right, I want to start with a question for you. And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Just take a second and really think about it. If that answer isn't a loud, clear yes, well, that tells you something, doesn't it? It's a huge signal. It shows you the gap between what you can do and what you want to do. It doesn't mean you have to throw away all your skills, but it's a crystal clear sign that you need to rethink how you're using them.
Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll name the problem, what I call the expertise trap. Then we'll talk about a really powerful solution called the platform shift. After that, we get super practical with micro experiments and a 90-day plan you can start right away. And it all leads to this incredible end goal, building what we call freedom equity.
All right, let's dive into this first part, the problem itself. You've hit a point of mastery in your field. The skills are there, the reputation's there. You could probably charge a premium for what you do. But when you think about doing it, instead of feeling excited, you just feel heavy. Well, that feeling, it has a name.
And this is what I call the expertise trap. It's that really uncomfortable place where what you're known for and what you're passionate about just don't line up anymore. And listen, this isn't about being overworked. It's about being over-repeated. You're on autopilot and it just doesn't light you up anymore. Realizing this isn't a failure. Trust me, it's the first real step into your next act.
And hey, if this is hitting home for you, I want you to know you are so not alone. This Gallup data is pretty eye-opening. Only about a third of experienced pros are actually engaged with their work. Think about that. That means 2/3 of us, the huge majority, are feeling some level of burnout or are just going through the motions. So this isn't some personal failing. It's a massive shared experience.
This really gets to the heart of it, and it's from our founder, Kurt Rose. He said this after a 40-year career as a CFO. He had all the success you could want on paper, but the work just felt stale. And that's the pivot, right there. The question stops being, can I do this? And it becomes, do I want to do this? And that's exactly where so many of us get stuck, especially after 55.
So, if your expertise isn't the problem, then what is? This is where we get to the big aha moment. It's an idea I call the platform shift. And it's all about realizing the problem isn't what you know, it's how you've been delivering it. So take a look at this. It lays it all out. On the left, you've got the old platform. This is all about doing the work yourself. It's trading your time for money, usually one-on-one. But now look at the right, the new platform. This is a total game changer. It's about teaching, guiding, and creating things one time that can help many people. So instead of doing the consulting, you're teaching a workshop. Instead of doing the work, you're designing the blueprint for others to follow. It's the same expertise, just a totally different way of delivering it, and way more energizing.
I really want this to sink in. All those decades of knowledge you've built up, that is your gold. You do not have to throw that away and start over. The name of the game is repurposing it. You're moving from being the person in the machine to being the person who designs the machine. It's a huge and empowering shift.
All right, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but how do I actually do that without, risking everything? That is a very fair question. And that brings us to the practical part, a low-risk strategy called micro-experiments.
And this right here, this is how you make it feel safe. This is how you take the fear out of it. You are not jumping off a financial cliff. Forget that. The 80-20 idea is simple. Keep your main income streams going. That's your 80%. But you just carve out a little slice of your week, maybe 5, maybe 10 hours, to be your personal R&D department. This gives you security and the freedom to explore. So what are we talking about here? What does one of these experiments actually look like? Well, here are a few simple ideas. But listen, the goal here isn't to get rich quick. Nope, the goal is to collect data. But not just any data. We're talking about emotional data. How did it feel? Which of these things made you forget what time it was? Which one felt like a drag? That feeling is your compass. It's pointing you in the right direction. Okay, let's put this all together into a real, actionable plan. You've got the idea, you've got the strategy. Now you need a roadmap to get from, that's interesting, to, wow, I know what's next. Here's the playbook, step by step.
First, know your numbers. Figure out your financial floor so you can experiment without stress. Second, just brainstorm. No bad ideas. Third, and this is so important, pick the one that you're most curious about, not the one that seems most practical on paper. Follow the energy. Fourth, design a tiny 10-hour test. And finally, after 90 days, stop, reflect, ask yourself, what gave me energy and what drained my battery? Double down on what worked and feel zero guilt about dropping what didn't.
You know, as you go through this, it's really easy to get lost in the how. But I want to pull back for a second and talk about the why. This is about so much more than just finding another way to make money. It's about changing how you define success at this point in your life.
This right here is a massive reframe. A lot of us are just done with hustle culture. We're not trying to build another stressful, all-consuming empire. What we're building is freedom equity, a mix of projects and work that gives us income, sure, but also purpose. And most importantly, the autonomy to design our lives. It's about finally owning your time and your energy.
Okay, we've talked about the trap, the shift, and the plan. Now it's your turn. The only way any of this works is if you take a small step. So I'm going to ask you again, and I want you to really think about it. What is one tiny thing you could test this week? Not next month, this week.
And look, you absolutely do not have to figure this out all by yourself. If you're ready to get started, we've put together something called the Retirepreneur Hub. It's a completely free resource library we built just for folks like us, professionals over 55. You'll find templates for these experiments, worksheets, and you can connect with a whole community of people on the exact same path. It's the perfect next step to turn these ideas into your reality. Thanks so much for spending this time with me.